Bow hunting whitetail deer. That's right, deer hunting with a bow. In this series, I'm going to tell you all of the stories of how I got all of these bucks. I'm going to call it antler stories. So I hope you'll stay tuned and watch this entire series to find out the story of how I got all these bucks. How you doing? This is Sean McVeigh, Sean's Outdoor Adventures. In this episode of the Antler Stories series, I'm going to tell you about this 7-point. This was, again, early on in my hunting career. Just after I came home from the religious order, I was having a rough hunting season. I had moved to a new area. I was teaching at a Catholic high school. I was teaching religion, and I didn't have too many hunting spots. I was hunting public land, just wasn't getting encounters with bucks. And it was getting late in the season, so I contacted my buddy Eric Rosenbaum. He's my friend from college, and it was at his property that I got the 7-pointer with my dad when I was in the religious order. And I said, hey, Eric, I'm having trouble, man. Do you mind if I come down and hunt your farm this coming weekend? You know, and he's like, absolutely, man, come on down. He and I had scouted it out in years past, even the year that I hunted there and got the 7-pointer. And there was a scrape we found at this one area of his farm. He said, that scrape is there this year. The bucks have been hanging out and hitting it. A friend of his had gotten a buck near there. So he's like, I think that would be a good spot. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll give it a try. So I went in the dark. I hadn't been on the property in a few years, but I knew generally where it was at. And I found a tree I could get up in my climber. I got up in the climber, and it was, you know, the first hour daylight goes by. You know, finally at around 7 o'clock, here comes a fox, you know, and then finally around 8 o'clock, you know, a group of doe go right by me, right underneath me, all like button bucks, you know, does and stuff. And I'm looking for a buck. And so finally at like 9 o'clock, I'm like, I stood up because I'm like, okay, it's on the hour. It's time for, oh, you know, I forgot to tell you there was a spike that went by, and checked the scrape and kept going on at 1 of the hours. So it was like 9, 10 in the morning. And I was like, okay, it's on the hour. An animal's been coming by every hour. This is it, you know. So I get up, I start looking around, and then I see coming through the woods, you know, this buck. And when I first saw him, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get my first 8-pointer because I saw this, and I could see on that side, you know, I just didn't know he didn't have both brow tines. I'll get into that part later. But anyway, I see this buck kind of moving through the woods, and he wasn't exactly coming my way at first. He was kind of going like, back that way, and then he kind of turned and started to angle toward me. And when he got to be about broadside, it was probably about a 15-yard shot. I took a shot and I caught the spine, and I'm like, ugh, because he dropped a little bit, and that just happens when you're hunting. Caught the spine, dropped him. So he was moving around, and then he was facing straight away from me, and he put himself up on the front hoofs like that. And so I had a straight, you know, shot, and I was going to go for the spine into the lungs, and I just hit like maybe that far to the right of the spine. So it went right down through the top of the right lung, out the bottom of the right lung, and I thought, okay, got through that lung. He's going to expire. Let me just take all the equipment back to the car, and by the time I get back, he'll be expired. So take all the equipment out to the car. It's probably a quarter-mile walk, not much. Put it all in the car, and my friend's dad came out. They were dairy farmers. He said, how'd you do? I'm like, I got one down. He's like, oh, let me give you a ride back out in the truck, and we'll get him. And I was thinking, all right, well, I don't know if the deer will be dead by the time we get there, because, you know, you need to give him a little time to bleed out. So we drive back, got back, still alive. He's like, all right, hit him again. So I take another arrow out, heart shot, and he expired within a few seconds. And one of the lessons for me in this hunt was, you know, just go ahead and take as many shots as you need to get the deer to expire quickly. I mean, I could have got down and did the heart shot right away, but I thought, oh, you know, I got him through the lung, that'll be fine, and, you know, save money on another arrow. And so money was part of the decision to not take a third shot. But, you know, at this point in my life, if I have to take a third shot and the third shot presents itself, I take it. In fact, when we get to this buck, excuse me, when we get to this buck story here, I did take 3 shots at that. You'll see in that story, caught the spine, second shot, didn't get exactly where I wanted, so I took a third, and the third one was right where I wanted it. So the point is, I'll shoot as many times as I need to to get the animal to expire as quickly as possible. And that's something I learned from this hunt. I felt very sad when I came up to him and he was still alive, and I just felt bad that the animal maybe had suffered while I was taking my stuff out to the car. So my encouragement to you is, hey, don't let money be the deciding factor. You know, just say, hey, God, I need help getting more equipment. Please send me the resources I need, and that's that. Our job is to do our best to be respectful and ethical toward the animal, do our best to have a quick, clean kill so the animal doesn't suffer. And that was a lesson for me. And I'm very grateful. By the way, when we picked him up, like his antlers were on the ground and we picked it up, that's when I learned, oh, he's missing a brow tine. He's a 7-point. But you know what? 7 is the biblical number for completion and fulfillment. So I got 2 7-pointers on that farm, so I felt like there was something spiritual and special about the whole thing. And I just make that encouragement to you. Keep God, the thought of God, in your hunts, and don't be afraid to take an extra shot if you need to. Even if it's going to cost more money, just spend the money. The animal is worth that effort and worth the money. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take care and God bless.